Hello friends, welcome to another video. My name is Shannon and I run shansstitchery primarily on TikTok. So I've been seeing a lot of floss tubers do this kind of video where they go through kind of historical pieces, usually like they're from last year, like kind of doing month by month, this is what I made this time last year. I would, but I kind of gave up embroidery and stuff come April, May, so for no other reason other than I started picking up crochet. So in case you can't tell, I've fallen deep into the crochet rabbit hole. So I'm going to kind of show you some old pieces. They're not from last year, they could be from the last year to 4 years. I do have one that was one of my very first ever finished full coverage pieces, which was really nice. These are not all cross stitch, some of them are embroidery, some of them are black work. We'll get through it, right? I'm going to show you these in no chronological order because I don't remember when I did them. You can go out. Sorry. My cat's just deciding if she wants to go out or not. My little like craft nook is by the back door. I've kept the door open a little bit because it is really, really warm, and yes, I'm wearing a hoodie, but I literally have nothing else that I feel comfortable in just now, so logic was out the window, you know? So I used to have loads of hoops behind me, so it might look a little bit bare if you've watched my 2 other videos, but my boyfriend suggested, well, why don't we take some through and start decorating the living room and that, because I can always add to through here, especially pieces that maybe wouldn't be good if parents came round or stuff like that, which we'll get into. So we're going to start with some finished stitchy pieces. I may throw in a few crochet pieces because I do both and I love both, and I'm kind of like reigniting my love for stitching after almost a year not doing it. The only thing I consistently did was one stitch along and finished it, and I'm not doing this year's because I just don't want to go through that again. So we'll just start with my pile. I have a small pile here. Oh, I even dropped a few. Cool. So the very first one is this. I painted the fabric myself. It's just watercolor paint. I didn't know about fabric medium and stuff like that, so if you're going to use paint, don't use acrylic, use watercolor. And I don't have it down. Oh, I do, it's there, right? So there's this little big bottle right there. It's called fabric medium. You should buy it, and all it does is you mix it in your paint. So with watercolor, because I already had pans, it was essentially 50-50, so then I just equaled, like I would make my watercolor mix up how I liked it and then just kind of add as much fabric medium, and then that was that. Acrylic I would not suggest using at all. Gouache, however you pronounce it, I would do, especially if it's, well, it depends. If it's in a pan, it works similar to watercolors. If it's from a tube, I would recommend doing a third paint, a third water, a third medium, and leave it at that. Or kind of mix things up, you know, however you like things. I just found that the paint became really thick and got stuck in all the little holes, and it just was not good, okay? So, side note, that's how I paint my fabric. So yeah, this was just a little watercolor one, and then I looked up what sashiko embroidery, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It's really, really nice. They're so easy to do as well, like once you get the flow of it going, it's really, really good. So that was a first little finish. This one I remember finishing last year because it was a free DMC pattern, but naturally, in case you couldn't tell, I like rainbow. So I made it rainbow, and it was this little one, and I love this one. I think this looks so cool. There's nothing else I really have to add to it. I just think I chose really good colours. I think they worked really well. I didn't make an effort to like doppily blend them together. They are, like, if you look properly, they are sections of colour, but they look good. So that's all that matters. Now this was what I was talking about when I said it's one of my first ever pieces, full coverage ones, because this, I remember, took me like 40 hours, and you're not going to believe it when you see it, or you might, I don't know. And it was an entire French knot mandala. The colours are a lot nicer than what my phone is showing. My phone's showing them kind of muted. They're really, really vibrant, really, really nice. Yeah, an entire piece of French knots. It's a 5-inch hoop, so that'll kind of give you, I don't know, let you gauge the size kind of. It was originally stitched in 6-inch, and then when I hooped it up I made it so that it like came to the edges. I've got that with a couple of hoops. So then, it was a couple of years ago when I was still doing craft markets and such, I started doing ribbon roses, right? And these are gorgeous. Like, If I just kind of move them, you'll see how, especially this one. The yellow ribbon's not so good, but this red ribbon, wonderful. And it was just all cheap ribbon off eBay. The yellow one I did kind of in memory of my gran. I can't remember if she died at that point or if it was just like, because my gran really liked, well, she liked primroses, but I don't know, I just did a yellow rose. But I remember that I chose yellow because of my gran, and then that was just, I had red ribbon lying about. I think that ribbon was actually from the works, so I'm telling you, just cheap ribbon. Really cool. Another one that I hand painted, and I love this one. I don't know why I love it so much, I just do. It says love yourself. I don't know, I apologise if I have to flip this just so you can read this. It says love yourself, and it was purely just the fabric that I really like. It looks a lot less splotchy in real life. I don't know why my camera picks it up like that, but it does. It looks really, really seamless. So that hangs in the living room. So last year, I kind of got into this, well, I got this idea in my head that it'd be funny to stitch like tweets and things that I thought were funny. And then one, for some reason, I just loved it so much, was can life stop giving me lemons? I fucking hate lemonade. And I made such a good job with the lemons and the lemon slice and everything. It just looked really, really good. This was one of the first finishes last year and one of the last. So then I kind of got into this big phase, and you'll see it behind me here where it's like, I can't remember what they're called, but it's making curves out of straight lines. And so this is another piece that when I hooped it, it was, it like went to the edges of the hoop. So it was this wonderful one. They're so easy to do, they're so quick, and I really, really love it. Obviously it's rainbow, why wouldn't it be? So last year, obviously because of the pandemic and everything, I was in a couple of cross-stitch groups, a couple of embroidery groups, I found out what black work embroidery was, right? I knew what it was anyway, but like kind of got into designers of it. And one of the biggest designers is Peppermint Purple. So one of her free patterns she released last year was this cute little heart, or was it free, or did my mum buy it and then send it to me? I can't remember, but it was this cute heart, and I hooked it up in an oval just to get rid of some of the white space. I think it looked really good, and then that's our date we got together, the 15th of February. I wish you would remember that and stop telling people it was Valentine's Day. Okay, so one of the first full coverage cross stitches I finished. When I say a full coverage thing, I don't want you to think photorealistic or like amazing, phenomenal, you know, big fucking thing. No, it was this one. I was just trying to use up some scraps that I had, and these were usually like thread scraps from other things, and yeah, it became this. It looks really, really cool. It's a 6-inch, it was stitched on plastic canvas. When the frame came, so as you can see, it's a little bit 3D. Wait, if I just kind of, yeah, so as you can see, it's kind of like a little bit pillowy, right? When it came, I then stuffed it with some pillow stuffing. Is that what you call it? Just like some stuffing that you would use. And then a fun one, another full coverage cross stitch piece, was actually one that I completed while I was in hospital. And I wasn't in hospital for, you know, a good reason. I was in hospital because one night I went home, I was getting into bed, and then I have like really bad foot pain, so sometimes I'll just like shuffle my feet along the floor, and then I did that, and then a needle went into my foot sideways and snapped off in my foot. Now I didn't know it had snapped off yet, so we go up to A&E. We're at A&E for about 4 hours at this point, and we take a scan. They're like, yeah, it's like right, like see how you've got your knuckles where your toes are? It was like right in the cushion between them, and sometimes if I scrunch my toes I can still feel it, so I'm not gonna do that. But I was in hospital to get that removed, and I didn't know it snapped off until I got home and stood on the other half. So that was fun. So yeah, I had to go get surgery on my foot, and while I was in, I obviously had to take something to do because I was fucking bored. I was in for like 3 days, and yeah, this was it. It was a rainbow tartan, which I then turned into fabric, and I also turned it into a crochet blanket, which I'll show you. And a coaster. Oh, surprises. But yeah, I really loved this. This still is one of my favorite pieces. So on Instagram, I can't remember the account, I'll need to go and see if I tagged them, but they put up this pattern, so I bought it. I think I bought it, did I buy it? I must have bought it, I don't think it was a free one, and it was this really cool black work pattern. I don't know how they managed this, like, it's such a cool pattern. They did it with pride colours. They did it with different pride colours, I should add, not just gay pride. It was lots of different pride ones. I just did the rainbow ones because rainbow. So I really love that. To this day, all of these I still really love, right? So then I came up with this pattern, and it took a while because I was doing it in between work, and it was just, I was working a lot at the time. So it was this one. It's a very kind of retro, I don't know, I get kind of 70s vibes from it. Yeah, it's cool. That's all I have to say about it. There's nothing much else to say. So going back to the whole being obsessed with these straight lines that create curves thing, I did this one, right? This was the first time I ever attempted a wreath hoop, but I had this, all the fabric hooped up for months because I was going to do like a nice big Christmas piece or something with it. It didn't. So then I did this, right? Does that not look wonderful? I think that looks wonderful. My boyfriend wants to find something to put in the middle, but I'm not really fussed. I think it looks pretty cool as is. So yeah. And then last of the hoops is this one, which was the Beast or God stitch along. It was a Halloween one, I think, 2018 or 2019. Stitch it on 32 count, which is why it's so tiny. Because if you go and see other people's, are quite big. Mine's tiny because it's 32 count. And I did it, I think, what people call 1/1. It was like one strand of thread, and then it was stitching it really, really tiny. So this looks so cool and relates to another one that I want to be doing soon. But because it's kind of gothic and stuff, my boyfriend really likes it, so it's allowed to be in the living room where parents may see it. But I don't think he'll approve of the other one, so we'll get into that later on. Ah, yes. So at the beginning of last year, before all of this kicked off, I can't even remember my life before the pandemic, I'll be honest with you. I started doing a kind of mini series which was making coasters, right? I don't remember what order I did these in, but I learned about Bargello embroidery, I think it's Bargello, and then found these plastic coasters. We've not used them as coasters yet because I forget I have them. So this was the first one, and I only remember this was the first one because I wish I'd centered this, but I just started with the green and went with it, so yeah. So I originally started, I was going to do 12 of them, which was going to be 7 rainbow, like, that make the rainbow, and then 5 that are just whatever. Currently I've done 4, which contribute to the rainbow, and 3 that are whatever. I chose these kind of colours because it looked like a flame, the pattern looked like a flame, so I thought this was really, really cool. And then I tried to do kind of like a plaid type of, I hate this one, I'll be honest with you, I don't like it at all, because I was trying to do, like, if you remember your primary school pinafores and stuff like that, or your little dresses, your little checkered dresses, that's what I was trying to recreate and didn't do it too well, so gross. This one's really cool. It's a big wave, big purple wave. Okay. Those were the kind of boring ones, I'm not really fussed about them. So we have like rainbow chevron, which I like, it's basic, but I like it. Yeah, and then the rainbow tartan, which I recreated. The pink is a lot darker in person, it's just getting really washed out on my phone, I do apologise. And last but not least, the one that I spent ages on, because I was trying to match up the colours, which you'll see, was this one. Now the rainbow in it is Bradley's Balloons by Threadworks. I spent ages so that I wouldn't waste any thread. I spent ages matching it up, making sure that I had as little waste as possible, and I can tell you I still have a majority of the skein left. And then the last piece that I have with me that I'm going to physically show you is my stitch along, which has not been framed yet. Yes, we're in April, no, I've not framed it. This was my peppermint purple stitch along. So it looks really, really cool actually. I would love to get this hung up once I do get it framed. Right now it's just backed onto some cardboard. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. But I'm going to remain over this side because I'm going to put up 2 pictures. So the first one is this hoop that I made, and it is to do with my boyfriend's band. They're called From Here On Out. You can find them on YouTube and Spotify and everything. And this is some lyrics from their song Fort Nowhere, which included their old drummer, I think. The original song included their old drummer who passed away a couple of years ago. So then the song is all about like being stuck and not really knowing where you're going type of thing. And yeah, I thought it'd be really cool to make a pattern with that. And here it is, it hangs on my stairway, so like if they ever come over for band practice and stuff, they see it and hopefully they'll make a comment on it. I don't know. And then the second one I'm going to show you is probably to date my most proud piece, and it's this amazing big lotus design. Now, I followed a YouTube tutorial for this. I will link it down below. I cannot remember the guy's name, which I'm hoping I'll pop on the screen just now. And I followed it. I kind of had to figure some bits out because I was a bit confused at times. So if you're going to follow it, good luck. But he has amazing designs. So yeah, I recreated it, and it is the biggest hoop I've ever done. It took 12 hours in total, and I'm not kidding. I spent from maybe 10 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening doing it in one day, and then finished it off the next day. I finished it just in time for the gorgeous weather, where my boyfriend helped take some photos of it. This was the only one I think I posted because it was the only one that I deemed worthy enough. So yeah, that is probably my most proud piece to date, and I don't need to be told it's amazing because I know. Okay, so whips. I started this one last March because I remember I was out of a job. I was like, I can churn this out in a week, and here we are over a year later, nowhere near done, and it's meant to be my cat. So it looks good so far, but I've literally only put dark brown in it, so it has a lot of work to go. But another peppermint purple one that I started, I think it was in January of this year actually, is a nice, oh shit, what way up is it? Is this way? I should know this because I live in Scotland. Well, I lived in Scotland. Yeah, it's a big Scotland piece, and again, the fabric is mainly blue. My camera was just washing it out, so it looks really, really doppled. I dyed this as well. It looks really cool. If you can see Scotland's outline, I hope. Yeah, I would love to. I'm actually going to keep this out so that I remember to finish it, because I want that finished and I want it hung up somewhere. So one that I'm yet to start, but I have the fabric for and the pattern for, is the Death by Cross Stitch by, I think it's Long Dog Samplers. I bought this last year before they gave out the pandemic one for free, so I don't care. This is the Death by Cross Stitch one. It is 16 pages. So I'm kind of trying to decide the colours and everything like that, because part of me just wants to do it all in black and then like dye the fabric. But the fabric that I got, I can't get the markings out of it. Like, before I was going to commit to stitching something this big. So this was the fabric that I bought, right? Now, as you can see, it's gridded, right? Now, this should be able to come off. The markings should come off, right? I have tried steaming, washing, ironing, just soaking in general. These don't come off. And it wasn't checkered fabric, it was like heat erase grid or something like that. I can't remember, and I can't remember where I bought it from in order to return it, but this is basically useless for anything that's not going to be completely full coverage. So I'm going to have to buy more that's not gridded, which is going to be shit because I was going to use the grid. But yeah, I'm hoping to at least make a start. I would love to finish this realistically by Christmas of 2022. So I know that's a long way away, but it's just because I know that I'm never going to focus on it. So this one was one I actually started today because I found the pattern a couple of days ago, and then I became obsessed with it because for the past couple of weeks I've been obsessed with this game called Stardew Valley. I play it on my Switch, and folks say it's like a farming simulator, which it technically is, but I don't play it for the farming. I play it for the storylines. I'm just kidding, I don't. I play it for my saviour complex in marrying Shane. So anyway, there was this designer. I can't remember who they are. I have such a bad memory, I'll just put the names on the screen. Assume that I don't remember anything, okay? So it's to do, I've literally done that. That's all I've done. It's to do with the minerals and gems in the game, and it's a really, really nice pattern. I'll pop a wee picture up, and I'll pop a link to it as well in case you want to get it. I love it. I just love it. It's going to look so good. I did originally start it on black, then realised a lot of the darker colours you're just not going to see. So I was like, oh, well, I don't want to do it on white because that's boring. And then my mum has a friend in, because my mum does like parchment crafts, which is like making cards and stuff. I'll need to show you some of her cards. They're gorgeous. Anyway, and she was like, oh, I'm getting rid of a bunch of fabric. Do you want some? And my mum was like, yeah, and she sent me some. So it's this kind of nice oatmeal-y, I don't really know. It's got like speckles to it, but the speckles are like a different fibre. They're really weird. They stick out. Anyway, yeah. So that's what I started today, is this one. And I didn't fully grid it because I'm lazy. I have no excuse, I'm just lazy. Now, my last one, which I've not started yet because I can't decide between these two fabrics that I'm going to show you. My mum bought these and I don't think she would appreciate what I'm going to use them for, but sorry mum. So the first one is this wonderful kind of like pastel gradient, right? Is that not just so amazing? But it gets better because there's the same, but with star sparkles. I love them both. There is stars through there. It's just so pale on my camera you can't really see it. You can kind of see it? I don't know. But yeah, out of these two, I'm thinking the plain one purely for the design, which is, of course, the I Dance for Satan design that all of the right-winger conservative Christians have been kicking off about. So naturally, if it angers right-winger conservative Christians, I'm gonna have to do it, okay? I just need to. I just need to, okay? I need to. But this kind of opened a can of worms because I then, you know, to find her free patterns, you go on her website, then it was a bit for paid patterns, and I was like, oh, I'll just click it. I shouldn't have clicked it because now I want approximately 50 of her designs. I don't even know if she has 50. I know that it's definitely a minimum of 7 and I've been debating just buying them, but I'm waiting to know if I actually want to stitch them. But there is a good few that I want to stitch. So I don't even think I showed you guys. This is the I Lap Dance for Satan thing, but I think I want to do mine like cute white pastel rainbow colours, and then I don't know, I just think it would be good. You know, rainbow, pastel, Satan, all goes together. So yeah, that's pretty much everything stitchy related, except I could show you a few crochet whips, you know? We'll do that. We'll do that. So this is actually a wall hanging that I'm working on. So it's Phases of the Moon and it's gonna look really cool. This yarn is one of my favourite yarns ever. It's like a cool toned rainbow. It's the something Utopia double knit. Oh, what's it called? I can't remember. I cannot remember, but I have it in loads of different shades. This is just the one that I'm going with. I originally was going to do it with my ice yarn, and my brother got me the Picasso rainbow one for Christmas, but if I've still got it, I don't. It just wasn't, like, the colours weren't pulling up nice and it just looked gross, so I stopped doing it. I have my mum's blanket, which is just a bunch of mosaic granny squares. We have 11 out of 100 done, so I mean, it's a milestone. Not a big milestone, but one nonetheless. This is my temperature blanket, so I am one of those folk that are doing one of these this year, even though somebody was really fucking rude to me on TikTok for it. They were like, oh, there's no point in doing like a temperature blanket, do something that makes a difference, and it's like, fuck you. But yeah. Wonderful. But for some reason we've had really, really cold weather the last few days, so I'm not looking forward to adding more blue when we should be going into the green. I'm mad about that. So officially, that's all of my whips to show you. So if you've seen anything today that you really like, let me know what was your favourite. Let me know if they remind you of any other patterns, or tell me things that I can go and make. Like if you have a cool rainbow themed pattern, mandala themed pattern, geometric themed pattern that you want to leave below, go for it. I don't care if they're paid, I don't care if they're free, I will buy them if they're not. Yeah, because I really need to get crafting. As you can see, bare walls, I need to go and craft my little heart out. So I will leave you with that, and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, I hope everybody's staying safe, everybody's staying well, and good luck in everything you do.